Welcome into the Michigan State Hockey Hub series recap. Michigan State split a series with Michigan. Each played at their home ice. It was at Munn on Friday, Yost on Saturday. A big weekend. And of course, I wanted to bring in a guest to help us recap it all. And this week we have Maddy Warren. Maddy, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Maddie, you are a first time guest on this show, and usually with first time guests, we like to kind of get to know you a little bit. Where are you from? What got you interested in covering sports? Just tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so my path to sports reporting has been a little bit unconventional. I'm actually from the East Lansing area. I graduated from Hazlitt, so growing up, I went to a lot of MSU sporting events, basketball, football. Um, I knew I wanted to do journalism in college, but I kind of didn't start in sports. I did a lot of just like academics reporting. I was on the state news last year. I joined and I was covering the administration, so a lot different than what I'm doing now. But my senior year, like this summer, I was like, it's my last year. I kind of want to get some different experience. And I've always loved sports journalism. So the state news was very supportive of me when I was like, hey, I think I want to move to sports desk. So I started as a general assignment reporter at the beginning of this semester. And then I was assigned to the hockey beat in October, and I've been loving it ever since. It's been pretty interesting because, full disclosure, I didn't know a ton about hockey
Yeah.
starting out, but I think I picked it up very quickly, and I
Yeah.
have a lot of catching up to do. But yeah, and obviously the team has. I started in a good spot, I think, with
Yeah,
this. I
and you
lucked
all have
out.
had some great people covering hockey. I've had Sam on and Alex when he was covering hockey last year, several others as well. You all do such a great job. So we're all happy and appreciative of you covering the team. But let's go ahead and dive into this weekend. We know it was a huge weekend, right? This is a big rivalry in college hockey, perhaps the biggest rivalry in college hockey. And each team got a win on their home ice. I mean, if you're going to split the weekend, that's a good way to do it, right? Let the home crowd celebrate each win. So that's exactly what happened. Friday night at Munn, 2-1 win for Michigan State. And before we even get into it, I want to give a huge shout out to the crowd. I don't know how many games you went to in the very beginning of the year. The crowd was bad. I mean, it's just bad. There's no other way around it. It just was not good attendance, and I get it, right? You got to win. You've got to prove a product. They weren't
Right.
there yet. This
Mm-hmm.
crowd on Friday night was a sold out crowd, second straight home weekend. And I want to give a huge shout out to the Munsters as well. I've met a couple of the people that run it, Scott and Emily and Nathan, and they do such a fantastic job. And it's incredible how much work goes into it. And they've just busted their butts all year, and they had a great turnout. And just seeing Munn like this is refreshing. It's exciting. I'm sure that the players appreciate it as well. Was it the loudest environment that you've been in Munn Ice Arena? I know you've only done this for half of a season, but it was pretty loud, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very loud. The student section definitely did their part. I covered the first exhibition game, I guess the first and
Oh yeah,
only exhibition game. So kind of seeing how the crowd went from not a ton of people
yeah,
to sold out, I think was, I think people are starting to buy into hockey again in this area.
yeah, absolutely. And it's just so great to see. I've been watching and following Michigan State hockey for a long time now, and I haven't seen much of a buzz like there was Friday night in over a decade. So definitely really exciting stuff. As we break into the game here, it's the way that it kind of went from the beginning. Friday night, it was a little bit different because Michigan State got scored on first. TJ Hughes scored the first goal. And I wasn't exactly worried that Michigan State was going to unravel or anything. I was just kind of like, okay, it would be great to score the first and get that crowd into it early. But then Cole Krieger responded right after. I'm going to go ahead and play the video. If you are on Spotify, you will not be able to see this, but An easy board battle up the board, and this is one Eric Portillo, the goalie for Michigan, would definitely want back, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he obviously didn't have, sorry, I was just trying to watch it at the same time as I was talking. Yeah, I think that one just kind of, I think, took him by surprise a little bit. Obviously, he's very talented.
Right.
And yeah, you can see the crowd there. They just really lit up
Yeah, so
after
that's
that.
another thing. So what you can see with this goal that I noticed was, I think it's Dorwart with a nice move to go up towards the defense, and here's Cole Krieger coming in on the side, and he just kind of puts a shot on net, right? We've kind of seen this in Michigan State's offense. Let's just throw it on the net, throw it towards the goal, see what happens. And that is exactly what he does. And right here, you can see the glove up of Portillo. And it literally just, I think it glances off of it and just kind of like trickles into the net. Definitely one. And you can tell he looked around immediately. A lot of times when you let a goal like that go, it's because you don't see it, right? Someone screens you. And the goalie's kind of like this. He looked around immediately. He knew it. That's one he wished to have back. And great point by you about this crowd. I mean, look at everybody in that student section. No hands up right now. The second I hit play, everybody's going crazy. They're banging the eyes or the glass. Man, it was a fun scene there on Monday night. So that was Cole Krieger with assist to Carson Dorwart and Daniel Russell. That was in the first period. They ended 1-1. Second period came around, and Tiernan Shouty scored a goal that really, I mean, the place was going nuts on this one. Let me go ahead and play it here. And what you all have to understand is I should have done a better job of this, but this puck, if you can see, was kind of like passed in and one of those, like, let's throw it off the back of the boards and see if we can get a play going that way to get it past the defense. And that's exactly what happened. I don't exactly remember who passed it there, but it's coming out in front of the net here. And you're going to get a little bit of a shot on goal right there from Michael Underwood. That got Portillo moving. So now he's off his mark. He's like out of the crease, a bit out of control even. And then it squeezes through. Tanner Kelly, who just always seems to be making things happen, right? He's kind of just this all over the place. I thought he was going to score on this. So he got a swing at it there. Now it's behind him. And that one hit off the post. If you saw that squeezing through there. And then you see Tiernan Shouty clean up the goal. What did you think of this goal?
Yeah, I would say it was arguably probably the best goal of the weekend. Just kind of the way that it was like a scramble there, and Michigan State just kept rebounding and fighting to kind of get it in at the end. And then I think Portillo, I've watched this video like a bunch of times, but I think he kind of like has his back turned, and so and then obviously Tiernan just like shoves it in there, and then he's like diving at the last second. So yeah, and then him laying there on the ground, that one. He was upset about that one.
So when I'm watching this live, about right here, I think that he's covered the puck because he's laying flat like he's covered the puck. He's waiting for a whistle, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, good attempt. But then I realized Tanner Kelly shooting the puck. Like, what the hell happened there? But a great job by Tiernan Shouty. As you can see here, he's at the left dot. And this is right before Tanner Kelly shoots it. He hits the post, and if you look right there, you can see it. And Shouty just crashes the net hard. Portillo took a long time to get back over and kind of figure out what was going on. It does not matter how you score them. They all count the same, right? And that is exactly what happened in that situation. Tiernan Shouty would just an all-out effort play, really got the place fired up. And then it was just kind of holding on for dear life at times, it seemed like. Now, they still had some good rushes, some good opportunities. But there's one sequence in particular that I want to... Uh-oh. There we go. So this is right before the end of the second period. It kind of felt like Michigan had some push at this point. And it was just kind of a mad scramble. It felt like Michigan State just needed to get out of these 15 seconds alive and just anything that it took. And it was a board battle one, and then that was a good look, honestly. I mean, you have kind of a screen goalie by your own defense, but he gets it up to the point. Great feet, and I mean Dylan St. Cyr. Let me just rewind this so you can see exactly how stretched out he was. I mean, he was sprawled all the way across his net. I mean, right now the player has the puck on his stick and about to shoot. And he's not even there yet. Just a fantastic save. Quick wraparound. Now, Matt Basgall actually broke that up, who I thought had a great weekend. Was the crowd a little bit on edge here?
Yes, I think everyone was a little bit on edge. I think it was like 15 seconds until intermission, wasn't it?
Yeah, 15.
Just really obviously impressive performance by Dylan St. Cyr. Just him going like immediately leaping like post to post to get that coverage. The crowd was definitely loving that, and I think at one point they were chanting his name, so they were they were definitely excited.
Yeah, and he's been a player that throughout his career, he was at Notre Dame, then Quinnipiac, and it was kind of like, I don't really know where this is going to go. When I saw him commit to Michigan State, I thought, I mean, okay, yeah, you want a guy with experience who can come in, and a guy who can at least split with Pierce Charleston. Well, it's been 100% Dylan St. Cyr, and he has looked absolutely fantastic. I'm going to have a show actually later this week of all the first half. And I know that we'll be talking a lot about Dylan St. Cyr, so I'll save some of that until then.
What to say about him?
Yeah, so going into the third period, Michigan State held on at Munn to secure the victory. And it was one of those feelings of relief, but I also do think, and you're the storyteller here, right? It felt bigger than it was probably. And I think it's just because of the turmoil and what's been going on with Michigan and the Michigan State football program, and just kind of like after that football season Michigan State had and the basketball season, although I think they're better than their record, it's just, there's a lot of this kind of like, kind of we haven't met expectations. The hockey team is kind of in the background, overperforming. That's not the term I want to use. They're whatever I want to call it. They're doing much better than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night, it's on Big Ten Network, not Big Ten Plus. Friday night, there's no basketball, no football. All this stuff's over. More eyes are on the program. For the first time all year, you had football fans tuned in, all these other fans tuned in. And I noticed on Twitter, people that never tweet about hockey fired up. And it felt so good to just see this program getting the recognition that it deserves. It felt good seeing people think, oh, man, maybe, this is a different type of Michigan State hockey, because I assume it's a lot of people's first time watching all year, right?
Right. I definitely think, especially with a 6-game losing streak, breaking that after not winning a single game against Michigan last year. Like you said, there are definitely some people on my timeline on Twitter who I was like, oh, I didn't even know they were hockey fans, but they're watching. I just think, like you said, there's definitely like excitement, and it's bringing in new people and a new crowd that maybe before wasn't interested in hockey. And I think after football, especially, I think that MSU fans really needed a win against Michigan. And I was just, as the crowd,
it just had this feeling of a lot's going right for Michigan sports, with football and everything. And it just had this feeling of like, okay, we can still do it. We still have the abilities, like you said, after dropping 6 to them. And it wasn't, in the past, there were times Michigan State won in hockey, and it felt lucky. You felt like, man, they got outplayed, but a couple pucks bounced the right way. This game Friday night was they deserved it. Now Dylan St. Cyr stood on his head, and Michigan could have easily won that game. I want to make that clear. They almost scored. They had a wide open net near the end of the game. Right. It just didn't convert. But Michigan State played good enough to win. They did win. On to Saturday's game. This one not nearly as exciting in Yost. First off, what do you think of Yost? Just overall impressions. Now, I saw from your and Sam's pictures on Twitter, you had a bit of a limited view. Is that right? Can you tell us about the press box a little bit, or whatever they call the area that you were in?
Yeah, so that was actually my first time in like any Michigan like stadium arena. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. I know the architecture there is like a lot older, and I thought it was like a really like pretty facility, but it's a little bit confusing to navigate. Kind of the way you have to like go up. Like I think we walked up probably like 6 flights of stairs. The press box was like updated and really nice, but like you said, our view was a little bit obstructed. Whenever Michigan State was kind of on the right side of the ice, you'd have to either like stand up or like watch the TV screen, which was just a bit of adjustment for me. But I kind of also did like there's like a bird's eye view where you can like look directly down, which isn't available at mine, which I kind of liked. So I think there were pros and cons,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It was a little bit challenging to see at times, and I was like, I don't know if I like this.
It always takes kind of adjustment on TV as well, because the angle of their camera is similar to what you're talking about, where it's more like up looking down. It's very different.
Right.
More, this is more normal, and this is making no sense to anyone on Spotify, but I'm doing a hand motion that probably doesn't make sense to people on YouTube either, but it just has a different view, right? And it is a
Yeah.
bit tough to adjust to. I went to Yost last year, and it is different. The concourse isn't the same. I like walking around the concourse at Michigan State and being able to see the game, and
Right.
the concourse is very different. But either way, back to the game. What really matters, right? The first period, Dylan Duke was the first one to score, and if I remember correctly, this is a puck that just kind of like bounced off of him. He was near the front of the net, bounced off of him into the net. Not a whole lot going there. TJ Hughes again in the second period gave Michigan the 2-0 lead. And at one point, it felt like Michigan State didn't really have it going that night. They looked a little bit slower at times, but they battled back and they hung in there. And I was a bit surprised, especially when they had several penalties. The power play couldn't get going. Um, it gets down with a few seconds left. And again, the team could just kind of mail it in. They fight and score a goal. Jagger Joshua scores a goal on a pretty, I don't know if Michigan was as focused as they should have been, but then he takes, and correct me if I'm wrong, he took a cross check like right into the neck, didn't he? Right into the throat area.
He did. When he came out for the post game, you could see like a red mark on his neck. Sam actually asked him about it. And I think there's also one on his forehead. And he said that the Michigan player wasn't very happy that he scored. So that was when he kind of like checked him in the neck, I guess. But yeah, obviously they're fighting till the end. We've seen it a lot with Michigan State this year. Just they're very determined, and they could have easily just kind of given up. There was 5 seconds left, but I kind of wrote about this in my column that just came out today. They like weren't gonna accept going out of there being shut out. And Jagger, I don't know if he got lucky or kind of an opportunity there, but yeah, just kind of, I think he like batted it out of like the air to get that score for them in the last 5 seconds. So
it was a goal that is a bit lucky, but Eric Portillo played really well all night, 37 saves, and I'm sure he thought, I'm getting out of here with a shutout. Probably felt good to make sure that didn't happen. These two teams are going to play again. It's going to be a big matchup, and you can probably tell just from, let me pull up the Big Ten standings here. Looking at the standings, the order didn't change. So the order, you have two teams that are tied at 12, depending on what you want to put them as, but Minnesota at the top, 15-5, 10-2 in the Big Ten, 30 points. Penn State, 15-5, 22 points. Michigan State, 12-7-1, 20 points. Ohio State, 10-7-1 for 15 points. Michigan, 12-7-1, 12 points. Notre Dame, 8-8, 12 points. And lowly Wisconsin, 7-11, 1-9 in the Big Ten, 3 total points. This is where people thought Michigan State would be at the bottom where Wisconsin is. Instead, they're right now in third place heading into the holiday break. So before we get you out of here, I have to know one thing. For whatever reason,
Okay.
your Twitter account pops up like this every time you start tweeting until you start adding threads. So I'm wondering, what type of vulgar things are you tweeting out here before every single game, Maddie?
You know, that's funny because our photographer said that to me. She showed me her phone and she was like, why does it look like this? And
Yeah.
sometimes it says, I don't know if it's like a setting that I like, that you like have set turned on where it's like sensitive content, but it's like whenever I post a picture, if it's just like a mun or like an article that has like a photo linked to it, sometimes it says like they flagged this. And I don't know why.
So
I'm
I
like, this
tried to
is just
change the
hockey.
setting, and I just can't figure out how to. Like, I don't know. I'm not the
Maybe,
most technologically advanced person,
yeah.
I guess, but I may have to do it on my desktop. But every time I laugh, I'm just like, what is Maddie out here tweeting out that's getting flagged every single? At the first, I was like, that seems weird, and then I noticed it was like every game day. But I see the threats, so I was like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's so strange. It must be something on my end because you're the second person to mention that now. And I can see the warnings, but they only happen sometimes.
Oh,
I'm just
really?
like, I promise it's just hockey. I don't know why it's sensitive to
They're just
Twitter, but
tweeting out vulgar things, I
yeah,
guess. So
that is
as
so
the
funny.
break comes up for these players, they get a couple weeks
Yes,
off before they head to the GLI. You all get a holiday break too, or do you
yes,
have to? You are so. I guess you said you're a senior, right?
I am. Yes, I just finished like my last assignment today, so I'm
Oh,
done.
congrats!
Yes, thank you. I still have another semester after this, but the last assignment for this semester, I will be. I think I'm actually going to the Great Lakes Invitational, and I also possibly going to the series with Ohio State and Columbus.
I'll
Just
be
kind
there
of
for that.
depends.
Yep.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on like photographer if someone will be in town and like working, but um, I will be probably at both of those. So I will still be working, obviously not as much, but yeah, there's still hockey going on. So I'm
Awesome.
excited.
Well, hey, we really appreciate it. Tell everybody where they can follow you on Twitter, and I'll drop your most recent article in the description as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so my Twitter username, if you guys want to see my apparently flagged content, it's Madeline A. Warren. If you type in Maddy Warren, it'll probably pop up too. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Just, beware. No one under 18 needs to be following. There's all kinds of vulgar tweets. And
yeah,
well,
pictures of my
Maddie,
nice arena.
thank you so much for joining us today. We'll have to have you on in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
All right. Well, I hope that you enjoy your holiday break.
Thank you, you too.